Welcome to our reflections on the Parsha. We are in Parsha Vayelech. We are welcoming Dina Pinner. Dina, you're a long-term friend living in Jerusalem, a teacher, a scholar, a teacher at the Hebrew University, and we are really happy to learn with you today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's a delight to be here. It's an absolute delight.
Great. Our role today is to just offer a couple of words on the Parsha. The part that really strikes me in this week's Parsha is a description of Moshe passing over the responsibility for the people onto Joshua. And I guess one of the questions that has sat with me for lots and lots of years is, what if we had a Torah where Moshe lived and brought the people into the chosen land, brought the chosen people into the promised land? It seems to me that the fact that Moshe dies in the book of Deuteronomy and his death is described is really crucial to how we understand our lives and what a spiritual life might look like. What's your take?
And that it does end, that we might be the most important person in the world, but we die. We are all mortal, and none of us will ever get to fulfill everything. Nobody gets to do absolutely everything. We all have to give it up at some point and let someone else take over.
It reminds me of the teaching of the Hasidic Rabbi. I have no idea the source of holding in the palms of your hand one piece of paper which says, "Bishvili barat olam," because of me the whole world was created, and in the other hand, I'm efev afa. I am the nothing but dust and ashes. That we live between those two aspects in our life.
Yeah, it's true. It was all created for me. I am the center of the universe, and I'm absolutely nobody. No one's going to remember me. I'm childless. Within 100 years, no one is going to remember who I am. The only people who remember who you are, what does Robert Winston say? Why did he become a fertility doctor? Because the only people who remember you in 100 years' time are your children. He said he would tell people to think of a politician, think of a politician from 15 years ago. Which names do you remember? We are completely forgettable. Even with all of this technology, even though you will be able to search for me, and you'll be able to put my name into a search program, and I will come up, I will be completely forgotten. I will disappear. There's amazing comfort in that, because it means that nothing that happens here on earth is really, it's not really that monumental. Nothing is really the end of the world. You know, I was in a car park. I parked my car over Rosh Hashanah, and then when I left, I scraped the side of someone's car because someone else had parked badly. I live in Jerusalem. I'm in part of the cause, and I was very upset about it. And it turned out that the owner of the car, instead of coming downstairs to move his car, was filming me. And I was very, very upset about it. It really, really upset me. And I called up to the balcony and I was like, let me give you my number, you know, and I left my number on his windscreen, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because, you know, 100 years from now, no one's going to remember, but no one's going to remember any of it. The stuff at work that seems so important, so significant, no one's going to remember. It's all going to go away. It's all going to disappear.
But then also Bishvili barat olam, like also the world was created exactly for me. And I feel like we need to be between those two energetic places. Like if we are two in one, that we are dust and ashes and nothing matters, and our lives, you know, our bodies return to the earth from which they were created. If we're too much in that place, we also might forget the significance and the crucial aspects of what we have to give to this world. Like, it has to be both. It can't be one. Otherwise, I feel like in some of the tones that you take, we will like fall in on ourselves. We have to also believe that we're really important.
Well, that's why it was so important, because I'd upset someone. He loves his car. And I was devastated to think that on Motzei Rosh Hashanah, after all of this, you know, that there I was and I had made somebody's thing not nice. And that's the devastation, is that really, because it's all going to go away, I have to make sure that I am nice today and that I make the most of today.
So before we got on to recording, we were talking about an aspect of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that I've been thinking a lot about, which is that Rosh Hashanah is Hayom Harat Olam, that the world is given birth to on Rosh Hashanah, or certainly begins on Rosh Hashanah in the Jewish imagination, and Yom Kippur as representative of the day of our death. And I feel like those are two way markers that we have to look at really intensely during these times. These are 10 days, one which begins with the creation of world and one which ends at least with an imagination or a replication of the day of our death. For some people listening, that might be very hard to hear, especially if you're going through stuff right at this moment. But it seems really important to look into that in a significant way during this time. And you were particularly talking about one of the central prayers of Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which really brings that to the fore in quite graphic ways.
Yeah, I heard of many people who were weeping during Unetan Tokef, that time when we talk about who by fire and who by water and who by plague, and it's very real. It's very real for us now. That we really know people, like it's really real now, that fires and floods and plagues are part of our lives, and we really don't know who might be affected by them in the coming year, and it really could be any of us. So this, the whole world was created for me, and grabbing life is really imperative now. We have suddenly seen it in stark reality, that the world was created for me, and it can be taken away at any minute.
The Pinei Halacha opens his halachic work on the 10 days by expressing that choice of choosing life, which is so clearly framed in the book of Deuteronomy. Choosing life and grabbing on is a really important part of this time. I think he relates that to an imagination that the world is nourished by some godly aspect which keeps the world going. And at the point at which the people turn against God, God has the capacity to withdraw that energy and the world returns to chaos. And it's like, I'm not sure if I would have read that in quite the same way before 2021. Like, it seems to be that we live in a world that might very well be returned to chaos and might very well be fundamentally challenged if human beings don't turn around their behavior. And yet at the same time, I really believe, and this is not just a religious belief, that the urgency of these 10 days brings us the capacity to really understanding in clear terms what our role is in our lives and going for it without apology. going for it, like giving what we have to give in the limited number of days that we have on this earth and making it count. We're going to wrap up in a minute or two, but Dina, you have a last few words to share with us, I hope.
Look, I love the idea of grabbing it. I love it. It's true. B'chai b'hem, you know, we've got to live it. This is it. It's very difficult. It's a bit exhausting. It's a bit exhausting to think in the reality that I have to make every second count. It is a bit exhausting. So we just have to try. You just have to try. And at the end of it, it's just about our relationships with other people. That's really the only thing that gives us our energy. And that's the only thing, that's the only place where we know that we are living and where everything is real, like a phone ringing in the background, which is very real.
2021 with a landline ringing in the background. Dina, you're a wonderful teacher and wonderful to spend some time with you and hear some words of Parsha from you. Shana Tova to all you and yours.
Shana Tova.